Hello and welcome to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles, and it is just me today because Neon is off doing something else, as happens often on weekends. So for this video, we're going to talk about the Madam Web fiasco. Still doing terrible. We're going to wait for the typical excuses that are going to come up, and I have some things to say about those. The Bob Marley film actually did about twice as much as this film did, which is funny to me because once again, we're seeing a superhero film get decimated, and we're seeing superhero shows get decimated. People are over it. They are tired of superheroes. They're ready to move on. The big movies people are going to see are things like Barbie and Oppenheimer and, Super Mario Brothers. Movies like that. They're just over this whole forced blockbuster bullshit. And that's what we're seeing. And of course, it's because you hate women. It's never because the movie just sucks or because people are tired of it. The narrative will be, you're going to hate women. I just saw a tweet today about somebody making some straw man argument about that. I have that here. There's this star with the obvious, what the hell is that? We don't hate female characters. We just hate badly written female characters. The MFers say when they're asked to name a single woman they liked in a movie besides Ellen Ripley. And they get their asses handed to them, as they deserve, and they get ratioed hard throughout the conversation as people list multitudes of characters that were female characters done well, okay, other than Ellen Ripley. And I like this one comment this person made. The comedian said, Hollywood has epically struggled at writing compelling female characters over the last decade. And instead of calling the studios out for it, you're blaming the fans for not enjoying the crap they've been oozing out. That's called diarrhea. Nope, not going to let you gaslight us. And I think this sums it up pretty well. It's like, especially if you come from, a time when you remember when we used to have better characters, more diverse characters, and it was the norm and no one thought anything of it, and you had tons of strong female characters across the board. You still have them now, but they usually get overlooked, or they're celebrated until the actor doesn't vote the way they want, or says something they don't want, or doesn't put pronouns in their bio, or something stupid like that. Because you have this group on Twitter that want to clasp onto anything. And then if you don't like it, they bully. You're not allowed to not like it. Like, you're allowed to like it, but you're not allowed to not like it. And if you don't agree, you're bullied, and they treat you like shit, and they gaslight you. And instead of just pointing out that these studios are lazy, they're hiring activists, not writers. They're hiring cowards who won't stand up and make decent characters. They're repurposing things that already existed just to try to be an easy cash grab. And it's easy. It's not even just the writer's fault. The whole way around, they're just trying to shoehorn stuff in there and shove it out the door as fast as they can to try to make money. And I think it's just the consumers are the ones being force-fed shit and told, tell me it's good and ask for more. And people aren't. And when you don't go along with a narrative, then you're the bad guy. And it's a load of crap. So before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo. Woohoo. And we're going to talk about what's going on with the Madam Web thing. It is not looking good for Madam Web. Over the 6-day holiday weekend, which normal people call a week, it only did about $25.2 million. Meanwhile, Bob Marley One Love did 27.7 over the traditional weekend, the normal, what we call weekend. And it did 51 million on the 6-day holiday stretch, the holiday week. It's almost a week. I would round up at that point. So, it's good for the Bob Marley movie because they weren't expecting it to do more than 30 to 35 million, for that stretch. And they did 51. So, they really went far beyond what they were expecting. Meanwhile, Madam Web, on which they spent like $80 million on it, not counting all the promotional stuff. So a lot of money. Not as much as they have for other movies, but it's obvious in this one they didn't spend a lot. I think that's why you don't see the characters in costumes. You don't get a lot of backstory. It seems like a lot of, so they said for every little bit of action, it's a lot of talking and stuff like that. I think that we're seeing, they said they did 17.6 million over the traditional weekend, which is the same as what they did, 27.7. So 10 million less than they did. Okay. And then for the week, it's called a week, they did 25.8 million. And they were in a lot of theaters too. It wasn't like they were only in a handful of theaters. They were in a lot of theaters. The film launched internationally with 25.7 million. So in 61 markets globally, it made about 100,000 less globally than it did domestically. It's still not good. It's just really not good. I guess the Bob Marley movie cost 70 million to produce. And the theater owners get to keep half the ticket sales. They get to keep half ticket sales for that one. And it was only in 47 territories overseas and did 29 million additionally. So the One Love did 51 domestically and 29 internationally and 47 territories. They were in, a lot less territories, and they still beat out Madam Web in the overseas market. Now, of course, this is going to lead to a bunch of people screaming misogyny. But meanwhile, you have to be careful about that because Bob Marley was not white. So you're going to have to pick your battles on this one to see what you win. But if you want to yell misogyny, you can. However, you're going to have a little bit of problem here because, like the Marvels, the audience skewed male. 53% men to 47% women are what they're estimating went to see Madam Web. Honestly, that's not that much off. It's more 50-50. I mean, you're close to being 50-50 here. But beyond that, 53% men, 3% or 6% more men than women went, right? But nobody went. That's the point. Like, it doesn't matter what this says. Nobody went. They just didn't go because it looked stupid and they didn't care. And we're once again back to people are over superhero movies. I just read an article earlier about how Hollywood and some of the different places are going after these low budget indie films, and they're not spending more, but they're putting more attention on grabbing those up because they're less expensive than they are the big blockbusters they used to grab up. And overseas, they're trying to grab the A-lister led films more. But in the US, that's not what they're doing because we're seeing more films like, Barbie beat out stuff like, the Marvels. It's almost like Captain Marvel wasn't that popular to begin with. Shock, I tell you. So surprising. But what really was funny to me was this article. Dakota Johnson is not watching her movie as a form of self-care. I can't say I blame her. I would not want to watch this movie either, as a form of self-care, because why would I want to put myself through that? So she's not watching her new movie, and her reasoning is surprising. The star who plays the title character in the new superhero flick Madam Web told Magic FM earlier this week she doesn't know when she'll see the movie. She said she probably won't see it. She's saying either she won't see it or saying that someday. She explained it isn't about Madam Web specifically, that she actually doesn't like to watch any of her films. I mean, I can get that. I'd be like watching myself the whole time and cringing and being like, ooh, I could have done better. And plus, when you're acting in a movie and stuff, it's not just your work. Like, you could even go in and do your best work ever. But then they have to go and edit it, and the directors and the producers and everybody will come in and chop it up and do what they're going to do to it. And depending on how skilled they are, they can take a bad performance and make it look better, or they can take I will say a good performance from somebody else and make it look, amazing. Or make it look really terrible, depending on, who it is and what the scene is and who's directing it and what shit they do to it. So it's like when you have artwork for comics, you might have amazing line art, but if you have a really shitty colorist or inker, it could look really bad. Or if you have like a really crappy penciler, but you have a really, really good colorist and inker, you can make it look amazing. It's like that. So she's not going to see it. Honestly, she probably shouldn't. She's like, not watching her movies is like self-care. Yeah. But then you don't learn anything either. Like, I get it. I get not wanting to watch yourself because it'd be cringy, especially if you're watching 50 Shades of Grey. That'd be weird. But at the same time, if you're not watching yourself and seeing what you're doing wrong, how are you going to know what you can do better? I don't know. To me, it just seems like a way to avoid, anything, and you never improve. But she's one of those Nepo babies anyway, so she probably doesn't have to care about it. Here, I have the actual grosses per day up to Friday. We don't have, these are all estimated because until probably Tuesday of next week, we're probably not going to know what the actual numbers were. But they do have the dailies in for a few of these days. The 14th, it debuted at 6 million in 4,013 theaters. Thursday, it dropped to 2.1 million. in 4,000, the same amount of theaters. And Friday it did 4.3 million in the same amount of theaters. So it's already up to like a lot more theaters than, you know, I would have expected given the low box office. That is not good. You know, you're averaging not a lot per theater. And what I'm hearing is there's a lot of empty seats. People aren't showing up. Here we have the Bob Marley dailies. They actually have estimates for days we haven't done yet, and they give more information. But it's in 3,539 theaters. So it's in like hundreds of theaters less than Madam Web. And it's still kicking her ass. Because people don't care. They're just over it. And it looks not, I mean, the trailers did not look good. None of it looked good. I had no desire to see it. I mean, first of all, you have a character most people don't even know. Let's be honest here. Unless you're in the comics stuff, most people don't know Madam Web. So it's another, you have an issue there like with, we had with Ms. Marvel where people didn't know who the hell it was. Then you're having a superhero movie without having superheroes in it. Dakota Johnson isn't exactly the best actress around. And they weren't even showing the characters and costumes that much because they aren't in it for most of the movie. It just did not look interesting. And they're going to yell, like again, they're going to yell, misogyny. Nope, men went to see it more than women. I don't know. It is what it is. It's not doing well. Bob Marley kicked its ass. Good luck trying to scream about it because one's about a black guy. So have fun with that. I'm not sure which checkboxes count for more than the others now. So, you know, you figure out which button to push on that one. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.